What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be looking at Trials Fusion, a game that was recently added to the free with gold membership section of the Xbox Marketplace. Very happy that we have some good titles coming there too, because for $60 a year, you know, Xbox Live gamers, we deserve some good free games. Anyway, this is like kind of an arcadey motorcycle racing game that was originally a Flash game that I remember from over a decade ago. If you remember this version of Trials, you're a real one. You played Miniclip. Anyway, here we are now with improved graphics, better physics, and an overall zanier concept. This version has you taking the motorcycle through a series of futuristic and cyberpunk maps, performing stunts and trying to get around difficult obstacles. Overall, I've had a lot of fun with this game. It reminds me a little bit of Trackmania, another Ubisoft title, in the sense that it's a lot of these sort of skill-based and physics-based racing levels. Within the game, there are various types of levels. There are ones like these, which are the simpler Trials levels that are pretty fast and you can get through them with some speed. There are also FMX levels, mini games, and more difficult and technical Trials levels. As you can see here, I really love the flipping and trick mechanics in this game. The ragdoll physics come into play well, especially when you're doing maneuvers and you see the guy flailing around. I don't know, I just love ragdoll physics. This is an example of the FMX bike in one of the levels that instead is based on getting scores from doing tricks, instead of just completing the level in a certain period of time. This was a great addition to the game. This may have also been in Trials Evolution. This is the first of the newer Trials games I've played, but I really enjoyed this. It's kind of like an arcadier MX versus ATV. Whereas that series has kind of gone for realism, this one has just fleshed out the arcadiness with, you know, tracks that change, middle of the race, and stuff like that. Overall, this was a great time waster. This has been an extremely fun game to play with friends too, as there is a multiplayer component, which I'll get to in a bit. Also, I noticed that the tracks for the first 5 or so groups of stages remain pretty easy. However, like Trackmania, once you start to get to the hard stages, they are extremely difficult. And there are some that I still haven't passed, whereas in the first couple stages, you might be, you know, blowing through these courses, getting a gold medal every time. They also added this 4-wheel drive quad bike, which for some levels, such as this one, provides a lot of fun. You know, it's really fast, you feel like it has a lot of power, also it's fun to do tricks on. These levels tend to be a little quicker and a little more focused on kind of Supercross style flowing through the courses and just getting big air, rather than the more technical Trials riding. When it comes to graphics, there are some times where this game can look incredibly good, such as the way that the sun works in this level. You see the lens flares and all the gamma, and it looks really good. Also, here you have some good examples of post-processing with the weather effects to give you this kind of cold, icy look. I also absolutely love how each stage is in a different environment. You have the desert, you have the jungle, you have the Arctic tundra. I like how this lends a sense of, you know, cohesiveness to the levels, and it keeps them interesting. Even though they're all fundamentally similar, racing through these environments keeps it interesting and also provides a chance for them, the developers, to kind of use some funny set pieces. And also, this game is full of Easter eggs. Pretty much at the end of every level, there's a little funny or comical or ridiculous animation at the end of it of something terrible happening to the rider. Also, each level has many Easter eggs in it. I'm not really covering any in this video, but you can actually play tennis against a penguin on this particular level. This would also be another good example of what happens at the end of the stages. Usually you trigger some kind of ridiculous event. In this case, you burst open a sewer main, and you get to see the ragdoll physics go to work. But yeah, each level contains a series of challenges that then give you skill points. I'm not really sure what they're for. 1 second though, this is one of my favorite after-level events. Like, the developers, I don't know, maybe they were smoking weed when they made the game, but I mean, what is this? Well, that is something I really like about the game. I'd like to see that Red Lynx was having a lot of fun making this title, and overall it's just a fun game, you know? A lot of games these days are extremely serious, many AAA titles are like that. You know, they have such a somber and dark tone, but this is like, screw it, we're just gonna have fun. This is an example of the multiplayer mode. Here you can see me and my friend doing a race on some pit bikes, which was incredibly difficult, but also a whole ton of fun. This is definitely a good game to play with friends. They actually do have split-screen local multiplayer in this title, finally, something we're not seeing in many next-gen titles. Anyway, there are also a ton of mini-games. For instance, this is kind of like a triathlon where you have to do high jump, long jump, and then a bunny hop challenge. The mini-games also give it that arcadey feel, and I don't know, I'm a sucker for a good mini-game. It really helps stretch out the gameplay. For instance, this one, you use the Y button to bail out at the end of a ski jump and see how far you can launch your dude. This is sort of reminiscent of the Flatout series, which was a zany racing game from the mid-2000s that had tons of fun mini-games you could do. I don't know if they had as good of ragdoll physics though. Or no, they did. They had some good ragdoll physics. But yeah, this is the Trials bike. As you can see, it's got the low slung saddle like a traditional Trials motorcycle would, and this is where the levels start getting tough. You really have to master controlling the bike, how to land on different surfaces, how to use the bunny hop, how to really feather the throttle. You can't just gun it every time with this bike or else you'll loop out. So this is where the game, you really have to start finessing it a lot more. And you can even see the way that, I start riding. It's much more calculated. Whereas in the other levels, I would just get the strongest or fastest motorcycle, floor it, and try to get through the level as quick as I possibly could. On these levels, I have to be much more careful, ensuring that I am timing my jumps right and I'm not taking too much speed into certain sections. As you can see here, I'm using the bunny hop ability, or just basically by launching my dude forward and back to get over these tough sections. Also, in order to save on resets, sometimes I try to save jumps. Usually it doesn't work out too well. But this was something I was happy to see, because when I was blowing through this game, I was like, is it really just going to be this easy? Like, I feel like there's a lot of challenging level design that could be done, and I was happy to see it here. Well represented. This section I'm getting through, I was a little lucky, but as you can see, those small obstacles, those are tough to hit. You really have to time how you ride to get them perfectly. At this point, I'm about 70% of the way through the game, so I'm super excited to see what some of the other unlocks are and some of the other fun levels. But until then, see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video.